Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm being joined by members of the Dash for LaGrange and also the chair of the steering committee that is formed out of the Dash for LaGrange. But let me just start out by introducing immediately, first of all, to my left, Joy Young, the chairman of the steering committee, and also to my furthest left, Elia Baltes, the director of community development for Dash. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you all and talk about some of the upcoming things that Dash has in store. And Elia, you are a veteran here on the show. I've been here a number of times. So I'm going to start out with Joy since she's the newcomer to the show. I'd just like to find out a little bit about her, if you don't mind, okay? Joy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from the Chicagoland area.
Okay.
Transferred down to LaGrange in 2010 for work.
Okay.
Loving the area, wanting to get a little bit more involved, and this is one of my avenues to do so.
Okay, very good.
There's no snow, so it's great.
Well, good. And you know, that was going to be my next question, because I always want to ask the question, what brought you to LaGrange? And you said work, of course.
My work did, but the weather is also very beautiful down here.
Okay, absolutely.
Don't have to shovel snow.
I'm about to say we enjoy the 4 seasons. Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, and Joy, you are the chairman of the steering committee. Talk a little bit about your role. And I know that I think you're kind of in the infancy stage right now.
I am.
Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Elia approached me about being the chairperson due to the fact that I've got 7 years experience with Paint the Town as team member and team captain. We have had some discussions as far as how we could change things, and it's kind of like if you want to make a change and you have a question or you have a concern, the best way to make those changes is to actually dive into the project and lend a hand. So that's what I've done. I've volunteered to join the steering committee, and we're going to see what kind of changes need to be made. Some changes are going to happen. Some don't need to be made because there are things in place that are working very well. But we're going to see if we can expand and open it up and make it easier for the homeowners to get their houses painted and get the community involved.
Okay, well, very good. And Elia and I go way back a number of years working together with Paint the Town or Neighborhood Housing Services, first of all, then Dash. And Elia, tell us about your role with Dash now.
Well, my role, I'm the community development director, and my role is to get out in the community to engage the residents, and I can do that person to person. I do that, you know, with organizations, government. So anything that that I can get the community working better and helping that community to do what the community wants.
Okay, all right. And Paint the Town is something that's been going on for a number of years now. And Joe, I heard you said 7 years with Paint the Town, and I don't exactly know what year this will be for you all. Elia, do you happen to know?
I think it's probably the 14th, maybe going on 15th year, so we've been doing it a while.
That's right, that's right. I remember back in our days.
Yes, and we started with World Changers.
World Changers, that's right.
Before we did Paint the Town.
Sherry Brown and World Changes, the North American Mission
Frank
Board
Cox
Baptist Church, that's right.
Came in.
Absolutely. So, talk about, and I know that, you know, sometimes y'all have more requests than you have volunteers and people to get to, but talk a little bit about where y'all are going to be concentrating your efforts this year, if you don't mind, Elia, if y'all already know that.
We're going to concentrate, our target area this year is the Dunson-Dixie area.
Okay.
Now, so having said that, and one of the things that I discussed with Joy, and Joy has so many wonderful ideas, and because of her experience, not only her background experience, but background with Paint the Town, and is that doesn't mean we'll stay in that area all the time. So we may paint outside a little bit in other houses.
Okay, all right. So the Dunson-Dixie area is the area of concentration this year. Okay. And Joy, you said 7 years with the Paint the Town. Talk about some of your ideas that Edie was alluding to, where you see maybe taking it in the future, if you don't mind.
Where I would like to see it taken is, we concentrated the first year that I was involved. We scattered the houses, and they were from West Point areas to here in the downtown area, and then we started kind of clustering them together to where it made a bigger impact in the actual neighborhood itself. Setting in the Dunson area, it'll make an impact, but at the same time, what we were talking about is if we have 10 teams and we only have 5 houses or 6 houses in the Dunson area, we don't want to alienate those volunteers that are offering to give us our help. So we may just spread a little bit outside that area,
Okay.
but we want to get all the communities involved eventually. And I think if we can showcase one community at a time, other communities are going to say, hey, I want that done in my area. And like I said, it makes a bigger impact if I can have 3 houses on this side and 2 houses, and they can just kind of look and see the change, because once the homeowners in that area start to make that change, they're going to feel proud. They're going to want to show off their neighborhood.
That's right.
And as others come in to visit that neighborhood, they're going to, wait a minute, I want to do that in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so we may have to expand to keep our volunteers, because we don't want to disappoint any of our volunteers. But at the same time, we also have other homeowners that are out there that would like to have their homes painted also.
Absolutely. And talking about that, how are the homes that you all have chosen for this year's Paint the Town, how are they selected, Elia?
They do have eligibility. They have to be 62 years old
Okay.
and older, and or disabled. They do have to be the actual homeowner and live in the house at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
And then we do have an income qualifications, which would be 80% or below of the area median income of Troup County. And most of them will probably fit around the 50%, maybe 30 to 50%, but the guidelines are 80% and under.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
So there are
and that they, of
criteria.
course, they have covenants and other things that they have to fit into, you know, that any able-bodied people that live in the home have to be helping.
Okay.
Because I think that's very critical for
Right.
the teams and for them too, is to work together. And engaging that home and the people in the home is very important to Paint the Town.
Okay, all right. And, you know, so many times, you know, as you can recall back from our days, the homeowners and whomever, you know, the occupants of the home were, they always like to come out and kind of lend a hand or get involved. Because I remember, you know, back in the days of old, here reminiscing here, you know, it not only was it to provide a service, but it was also a mission for the young people that came to our communities. Now, talking about volunteers, because we can't do any of this without volunteers. Talk a little bit about the volunteers, either one of you ladies, if you don't mind.
Volunteers are crucial to what we need to do. It's their sweat equity that they're putting in. Every volunteer that I've worked with in the past 7 years, from the team that I have personally been on to the teams that I've been around, we actually get more out of it than the homeowner does. Yes, they get a beautiful home when we're finished, but the giving back, the camaraderie, the joining with the community, because in a lot of the cases, the volunteers are coming from outside of the actual community that we're working in. And so we've met beautiful homeowners, people we would never normally meet on the street, but people we've remained friends with through the years. Our very first homeowner, I'm still friends with. A couple of the other homeowners I see in town, and we always stop and talk. But it brings our community together. But the volunteers are what we need. We need anywhere from the age of 12
Okay.
is the youngest that we can actually work with our teams. We can take children as young as 10, as long as their parents are with them. And they'll learn the act of giving to others and helping others in things such as running water to someone that's up on a ladder. You know, they stay down.
Right.
They run the water over. You know, could you get me another paintbrush? But they're still learning the act of giving. Our volunteers come from the community churches, community industries, some of the stores, and we love the volunteers. We try to keep them happy, we feed them, and we make sure they're safe.
Okay. Well, very good. You kind of brought me up to my next question. I was going to ask about lunch. Elia, can you respond to that for us?
I do, and I'm really happy this year because you remember Frank Cox used to run all of that, and we really miss Frank. Dr. Robert Tucker with the Calumet Park Neighborhood Association, and they have become pretty active, and they're involved in other things that that we do also. So they're a community that goes to other communities, and they have decided that they're going to take care of all the food.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm excited about that. They're going to come in, they'll take care of the lunches, water, the breaks.
Okay.
And so they'll be set up. You know, we're going to have our kind of a headquarters, if you will, at the Dunson, because that's kind of our area. So we will be set up there as a headquarters. I'm really excited about them doing that. And
Okay.
he's very excited about doing that.
Well, very good, very good. I mean, you know, it's always a good time to get together to provide that service. But then when you can bring food into the mix, they have
Oh,
that
yes.
fellowship time.
Yes.
It makes it even
And they've
that
been
much
working
better.
hard, so we have to feed them and give them
right.
water.
Now, let's talk, we talked about volunteer. We talked about as young as 10, if as long as their parents are with them. How does a person register to volunteer? Who do they need to contact?
Well, you can just be a general volunteer and come in and help the teams. And the teams, of course, can bring in their own young with those criteria.
Okay.
As far as teams, we have different, and they come from churches, organizations, and everywhere, pretty much like Joy said. And they have to do an application as a team. We do, of course, have, waivers and things. And then they decide who their captain is. And so, they have to have at least 10 members in their team.
On the team, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So at least 10.
Of course, they'll have to have more, but they have to have a minimum 10.
Okay. Now, and I didn't ask, how many homes have you all selected for this year to be painted?
This year we've selected 10 to 12. Probably maybe we'll do 10.
Okay.
But we hope to have more than that.
Okay. All right. Very good. And we haven't talked about when that's going to be taking place, so everybody knows. So go ahead and let us know when the Paint the Town is going to be taking place, Joy.
Paint the Town is September 26th through the 29th.
Okay.
It is 3 days. That is a lot of work. It used to be done in the earlier summer days, and it was moved for my benefit, I think, because it's very, very hot. When we start the 1st of June in the past, it was very, very hot, and some of us just wilt. We're not used to the sun, and it was a safety kind of concern. So it's been moved to the 26th to the 29th of September this year.
Okay.
It doesn't interfere with any of the Labor Day or holidays or anything like that. It's pretty well spaced. It gives us time to plan. It gives the homeowners a little bit of time because they do need to clean up some of the areas around to make it safe for us to get into. But it will be a great 3 days.
Very good.
And the community will benefit from it.
Absolutely. And as we close out, Elia, if you don't mind, and I think this is applicable to Joy, if somebody wanted to volunteer, if somebody wanted for the Paint the Town or the steering committee, give them the contact information.
Okay. Yeah, they could contact Elia Baltes at 706-298-0582.
Okay. Well, very good.
Yes.
Elia, I'm going to ask you both ladies to come back on, but definitely want to get you to come back on, Elia, because recently we had an opportunity to tour Tucker Cottage and also the Dunson School with the mayor and council, some of the members of the council. So I'm going to get you back on to talk about that.
Yes,
if you don't mind.
that was a good tour.
Absolutely. But ladies, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today, okay?
Thank you, Alton.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment.